Welcome to the Amazon's podcast. I'm Glenn Young, owner of Amazon's fitness magazine, Celebrate the Female Physique. Subscribe to amazonsfitmag.com. The podcast is brought to you by GPS Photography and Video. Why photography and video? Because if a photo's worth 1,000 words, video's worth 1,000,000. GPSphotoandvideo.com. And of course, Amazon's fitness magazine is a publication of GPS Photography and Video. My guest, amazing physique, IFBB women's physique pro. I hate to use the word masters because masters in what you do, yes, but that does not apply to your age and how you look. You look amazing. IFBB pro masters. On the way to Japan, Robyn Mays. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You know, I looked out there and I came across your profile, and as I do so many times, those that have been in the sport a while and are still doing it. And the first thing I like to jump into is how have you had so much longevity in the sport?
Well, I didn't get started until I was 46. I had never lifted weights until I was 46 years old.
So you didn't start till 46?
No,
That's
not even
more.
lifting weights.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So did you start off in women's physique, or did you figure, or did you
bikini?
I was going. Well, I mean, it's a great entry point. We all got to start somewhere. Do we see where we fit?
You couldn't tell me I wasn't a bikini girl. I was a bikini girl. And they were like, you have a really nice walk, but you got a little bit too much muscle for bikini.
Yeah. And so then you went from there to women's physique?
Yeah, it was called Fit Body, which is like in the natural. All of it, the difference is you wear shoes. That's really
right.
Different.
Right.
So I still got to wear the shoes. I was like, okay, I can do this. Still got to get all glammed up. That's all I was worried about. I was like, I could get glammed up and wear these shoes.
Yeah. And it's never good to ask a woman's age, but it's important in this case because of how good you look. You started at 46 and you're about to turn 60. That is incredible.
Yeah. I mean, I have good genetics. I mean, it is what it is. But, the hard work, really taking good care of myself. It's, that's been one of the things. Actually, the last few years is when I really started taking it serious. But as far as genetics, I say my mother was like in her 80s before she even started wrinkling. So
wow.
hopefully, I'll be that age.
Yeah.
So
have you always ate like you were in prep? You always had like a clean diet, or were you one of those people with a high metabolism, throw down a bunch of food and just burn it up?
No. I indulge, but I've never been a person who, I've never had Chick-fil-A. Just recently I had Chipotle. I'm not a person who likes that. Look, there's a local pizza place. That was my place. But as far as fast food, of course, the McDonald's, Wendy's, and stuff like that.
Right.
Even that, it was, I'd rather go to a mom and pop pizza place and have that. And Chinese food, those are my two vices right there.
So when you started lifting weights seriously and getting into competing at 46, did everybody thought you had a midlife crisis? How was that received by your family?
So the reason why I got into bodybuilding is I quit smoking and then I gained a lot of weight. I've never been a big person. If I was, wore like a size between like an 8, maybe a 10, and I went up to like a 14. And, I was 214 pounds. And it wasn't muscle. And I had my physical done. I, had high cholesterol, high blood pressure, which that's a hereditary thing for me.
Yeah.
I was pre-diabetic. And, I've had the same doctor since I was 25. And he was like, something's going on here. And he had to call in. He goes, I have to call in these prescriptions because your cholesterol is like stroke level high. And I knew it was, I'm like, all right, I got to get it together. So my husband bought me a treadmill and I started walking every single day. And I would do like 6 miles a day. and wait, and then I started, okay, let me start cooking. And I started cooking more at home. Not so much clean, but just cooking at home is always going to be better than eating
Yeah.
out. So I did that, started walking, and then I seen Oxygen magazine. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I'm really dating myself with that one. And I was looking at it, I said, oh, I could do that. And my son said, no, you can't.
Hmm.
And I'm the person, if you tell me I can't do something, oh, it's gonna be done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how I
Never
got
tell
started.
somebody, you don't know how much you motivate people when you tell them they can't do it.
Exactly.
The person
I
that
love to
says
be
it is
counted
hoping
out.
that you're going to fold and just quit.
Hmm.
But then it's like that really ignites a fire in a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You want to motivate me? Count me out. That's
Yep.
that's my motivation. Um, because it's not a matter of proving it to them; it's proving it to myself. And that's how
Exactly.
I think the longevity in the sport. Because like even just with the past show and the New
Hmm.
York Pro, and people were like, "Oh my God, Natalia's gonna be there," and these girls are like in their 20s and 30s, and I was like,
Yep.
"Okay." I said, "You know what? That's just gonna mean I'm gonna have to diet even more strict and be more intentional with my workouts." It didn't scare me away.
Hmm.
It just made me, okay, now I got to bring a better me. And that's how I see every competition is bringing a better
Hmm.
me. I already know, especially when I do the open shows, because people are like, well, why do you do the open shows? I'm like, because why not? Why not
Hmm.
go up against the best and see where you stand?
Exactly.
And that's the only way you're going to know how good you are.
Yeah.
You know,
But you think about how many how many young girls you kick their ass too, though.
yeah,
That's gotta
yeah,
be that's gotta satisfying.
but yeah. So that's what my husband say. "Hey, pressure's on them, not on you." He said, because they're gonna be
Exactly.
the ones getting beat by grandma. I'm like,
Yeah.
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 I'm like, the man is in town.
And it impacts them some type of way. So like, hey,
Yeah.
So will you do another show this year before um, the Japan Masters, or what do you think and how you feel?
I am actually doing the Toronto Pro, which is 2 weeks
Nice.
from tomorrow.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
stuff.
I did it last year. I really liked the show. It
Uh
was
huh.
on in the beginning of the year. I make a schedule because I have to
Hmm.
kind of work it around work too. Um,
Right. Right. Right.
so I make a schedule, pick the shows I want to do, and then try to do those shows. And Toronto was on the list, so
Yeah.
I was like, all right, let's do that. I was actually going to do the Triple Dynasty, but they took
Oh
away
yeah.
women's
Yeah.
physique,
That would have been a
and
good one.
yeah, and they took away women's physique, and I was like, and I almost did the bodybuilding, but then I started looking at them women. I'm like, oh, they big.
Nah.
I'm like, you gonna look like a bikini girl next to them. So
Yeah.
and then I said, all right, I'll do the Emerald Cup.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing that.
So you're rolling. So Toronto will be your second show of the third show of the year.
Third show. Yeah.
How do you feel?
I feel good. This is actually one of the best preps I've had.
Hmm.
Um, one of the things I was really strict about this year, and I've kept a journal since I've been competing.
Hmm.
I keep a journal every year, write all this stuff down. And I noticed there was a pattern. The month of January, I gained a ton of weight. Unless I was doing like the only time I didn't was when I did the Arnold because that was in like late February.
Right.
And I'm like, so it was. I started looking at it. I'm like, it's cold, it's dark,
Hmm.
it's a ton of snow. And I'm like, And I noticed looking at the schedule, I'm like, that's when I would make it to the gym maybe 2, 3 times a week. I was like,
Hmm.
So this year, I was like, nope, I don't care if it's a blizzard outside. Your butt is getting to that gym and you're going to do what you got to do. So my goal, I set a schedule and I said, you're going to hit back 2 days a week. You're going to hit shoulders 2 days a week because that's one of the,
Hmm.
I needed to grow my upper body. And I have 2 rest days, Sundays and Wednesdays, mandatory. You take a rest, whether you want
Right.
to or not, you take a rest. And I stuck to that. And it made such a big difference. Like I literally would say 3 weeks out from my first show, I was basically ready.
Hmm.
And it felt good to be, to just coast right in and not, because it gives you room. Like if something happens, if you get injured, whereas
Right.
something I've never done before. I've always pushed it right to the time limit. And then I always felt like, oh, am I gonna be ready? This time I kind of went in like, yeah, you're gonna be
Mm-hmm.
ready. So that made a big difference. It was a learning thing. One of those things that takes, obviously, it took me years to figure it out, but
Yeah.
it's one of the things I try to tell to my clients now. It's like that post-show rebound is so important,
Yes.
and recognizing what your triggers are. Like for me, I figured it out. It was the month of January. Like
Mm-hmm.
for some reason, and I'm like,
What's linked with you having, when you think about it, right after the holidays as well. So I mean, it's all
right.
in. So
So you
poor
didn't hate
poor
off.
eating habits are like,
Yeah. And then, you can kind of offset the poor eating habits if you're going to the gym.
right.
But where
Yes.
you got,
Yes.
you got the poor eating habits, and then you're not going to the gym but 2 days, 3 days a week.
Right.
That's, so
You always
made a
talk
big
about people
difference.
gain about 10 pounds over the holidays. So if you already had poor eating habits and it's like,
Exactly.
yeah.
So, yeah.
So who's coaching you through all of this? Who's your coach?
I actually have a friend that helps me out. He's my second set of eyes.
Uh-huh.
Um, Justin Randall, he's not really my coach. He's my friend. He used to coach me back in the day. Um,
Right.
but now, once in a while, I'm just like, Justin, take a look. What do you think? And he's kind of like it's something I think I know, and then I'm be like, I just need a second opinion on something. So that's who I
Mm-hmm.
go to. But I mean, I've been doing it long enough where you kind of know what you need to do and what you don't need
Right.
to do. So
How are you received? Because you say you coach as well, but how are you received? Like I said, when you stepped on the New York Pro and you see and you're on the main stage with all the open, how are you
mhm.
received? Because let's be clear, as much as the young girls, uh, nobody wants to get beat, like you said, by grandma.
Yeah. Well, I think some of them didn't really even like they don't recognize my age because
Uh-huh.
they're like, they say, "But wait a minute, you don't get all up in my face. You have no wrinkles. Are you sure?" I'm like, nobody lies and says they're older, honey. Trust
Yeah.
me.
And you certainly
Uh,
don't you look your age. You certainly
right.
don't.
So,
Yeah.
so until people know, they just assume I'm, 40s
Yeah.
max. So, but I'm like, okay,
Yeah. And then they go into full shock.
yeah. They're like, yeah, how old?
Mm. Now, when
So
did you start prep?
I started prep this year. So I would say February. Yeah,
Okay.
it was February.
So you got
That's
rolling.
when
Do you find you do better with a longer prep or it doesn't take you much time? You can go in there at 12 weeks, 15 weeks and
um
roll.
I like longer preps
Hmm.
only because, like I said, it gives you the room, some wiggle room in case of an injury or life happens. So sometimes something comes up.
Yes.
Um, so I like a longer prep. But could I? I mean, I remember back in the
Yeah.
day, like I wanted to do a show and I had 18 days
Hmm.
and I trained for it and actually won the show. So I'm like, okay. It can be done. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't recommend it, but I
Yeah.
mean, if you're
Longer is
gonna do,
definitely better. So,
yeah, yeah. I mean, in
so
overall health, that
yeah.
that just makes more sense.
And you say you coach as well. So you're certainly
Yeah,
inspiring a lot of people. You definitely caught my eye from the standpoint. And so when you look at it now, how far do you want to go? There's no end in sight. There's no exit strategy because you're enjoying life, or how do you feel?
I actually was gonna have this was gonna be my last year,
Really?
but I didn't because my goal is to keep getting better, and when I
Right.
can't get better, then I know it's time to quit. And I've actually gotten a lot better
You've
from
improved.
last year. So we'll
Yeah.
see. You never know. I mean, and then we have the master shows now, so there's a lot of
Exactly.
ground. So maybe
Exactly.
I can do it till I'm 65. Who knows?
And so now, hey, why not? And so now when you
Exactly.
look at going into Japan, um, Toronto will be your last show before Japan, or will
Yeah.
you try to squeeze in another one?
No, I think that will be it.
Okay.
The goal then, I'm gonna let my body rest. Probably take 3 or 4 days and just like literally get some body work done and
Right.
just relax. Stay on the diet, obviously,
Right.
but just take some time off from the gym. Just, I've been lucky. I haven't had any major injuries.
Yes, I was
Really,
gonna ask you. Yeah.
yeah, no
That's
ailments either. So
that's blessing.
I want to
Yeah.
keep it that way.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
listen to my body, and I know after that I'm gonna need a little break. So
Yeah.
that's what I'll do, and then hit it hard. Go into Japan.
Yeah.
So,
What sort of therapeutics do you use as far as like red light therapy, massage therapy, cupping? What helps
um,
you recover when it comes to
sauna,
that? Sauna?
sauna,
Okay.
yeah. And I actually have a sauna blanket. It's like a
Okay.
sleeping bag, and I swear by that thing. Like it goes up to 176 degrees.
Wow. And you can
Yeah,
take that with you on the road.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, and it's like literally I can fall asleep in it, but it just gets a little too hot.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I mean,
I
you
can
can
imagine.
control the temperature, but I usually put it so it goes up to the whole 176 and then stay
Yeah.
just like 15, 20 minutes and you sleep like a baby after that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And just relaxes you as
hmm
well. So you're in Massachusetts, but most of the
hmm
shows you told about you've done have always been sort of up north. You could call New York up north. Have you
Yeah.
thought about any down south shows like Atlanta, Tampa, Chicago?
Oh, I've done Chicago. I've done
Hmm.
um the Tampa. I've done that like probably three or
What
four times.
what you like best?
Actually, I really like the Tampa show. That was a good show. Tim
Hmm.
Gunner does a good job.
He does.
I've done the Atlantic Coast. Yeah, I think I've done the Atlantic Coast twice. So
Hmm.
I've only done the Chicago one time. Chicago is just difficult getting there.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
that's the only bad thing about that.
From tying in. So yeah, that's convenience that
hmm
plays into it too.
hmm I've done the Omaha. I've done
Yeah,
St.
okay.
Louis. Oh yeah, I've been
Okay.
all over the place. San Jose. Was it San Jose? Yeah. The
That's good.
Legion. I've done that. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I've had my share. This is the first time I've ever done the New York Pro though, which is kind of crazy. 'Cause it's only
Right.
a 2.5 hour drive for me. But
Well, that's good.
yeah,
That's not
yeah.
one you should have been.
I know, I know. It's like
Well, the
you know,
closer the better. When you talk about flights and trying to get there early and make sure your body recovers,
yeah,
get rid of the water, everything, the water retention.
yep.
Sometimes an issue for some. Some others say I can fly 12 hours across country and really not an issue.
For me, I've learned. So I've done the Shreveport. With that show there.
Yep, actually taking place today.
Yes, it is. And I know a few people like doing it. Like it's going to put some
Hmm.
good competition there today too. Um, I remember when I did that show. So my husband's from Louisiana,
Hmm.
so Shreveport, he knows Shreveport.
Yeah.
But for some reason, we flew, and I think it was the change of temperature, the
Yeah.
humidity. And I looked great that morning, and I get there, and then we had an issue with renting a car or whatever. And by the time
Hmm.
we got to the hotel, I looked, I was like, I'm not getting on stage tomorrow.
Yeah.
I I held at least 10 pounds of water.
Mm.
I went to a bakery, and we went to a bakery, and I bought all this stuff, and he's like, you know what? Before you eat that, let's just try this. So I have a friend who's an MMA fighter, and I
Uh-huh.
remember what he said he did to make weight. So I went and bought the Epsom salt and rubbing
Yep.
alcohol and took the hot bath. I woke up like 3 o'clock in the morning. I woke him up. I was like, babe, look at this. I was shredded. I was like,
Nice.
oh, damn. So yeah, that was a good show. Yeah, that
So
I'll
you were
never
able to
forget
actually
that.
recover.
Yeah,
Epsom salt and hot water in a warm bath.
yep, yep. That water was
Okay.
so hot. I was like, all right, I'm gonna have third-degree burn.
Yeah, yeah. You
Yeah.
gotta be careful.
Oh yeah. No, it was tough to do it because sitting in hot water, you're sweating.
Yeah,
And you're just
yeah.
like, I just want to get out of it. But I was like, no, he said stay in it for 15 minutes. And then he said, then
Hmm.
you turn the room. He said, put the room real cold. I'm like, the room cold? He goes, yeah, your body's gonna keep sweating because now it's trying to reach a normal temperature. I was like, all
Ah,
right, well, I'll try it. And I did it. And yeah, then I like must have dozed off or something. And then when I woke up, I said, let me go see what I look like. And I turned that light on. I was like, oh. I said, okay, girl, you don't found out so.
That's
Yeah, I
great.
was happy. Yeah, because who wants to, spend that type of money flying there, paying for the hotel, and then not
Yep.
compete,
Yeah.
So I did. So one of the things I learned is if you're going somewhere, I check the temperature.
Hmm.
I check the, the altitude. All of that's gonna take it can come into play.
Right.
So if I know something like that, like for Japan, the show is on Saturday. I plan to leave here on Tuesday, which is
Okay.
really Wednesday there. So I'll get there Wednesday. Um, and then I have Thursday, Friday to, get everything Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Right.
So I have like 2.5 days because I don't know. I don't know flying that
No, you
long. I
don't.
don't, so that's one of the things why we're going to get there so early.
Is this your first overseas show?
No, I did Romania. I did
Okay.
the Masters, the first
Okay.
Masters they had.
So then
Yeah.
yeah. So how long was that flight?
We flew from Boston to Germany and then Germany to Romania. I don't even remember how long it was
Yeah.
because they lost my luggage. I remember that.
Oh boy, yeah. And then there's
Yeah.
that. Because there's so
Yes.
many stressors that can come on to you. You lost your luggage, hopefully in your carry on you got your suit and your shoes.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
had my suit and I had my food,
yeah,
most of it, but in my suitcase, my brush, my comb, my toothpaste, my deodorant.
right.
I'm like, just the basic. And then you're in a foreign country, and let's face it, I'm a black woman with muscles
Yep.
in Romania, and it's summertime. They're looking at me, but it was funny because it wasn't a look of like, it wasn't a hateful look. It was a
Mm,
curiosity, like, wow,
yeah.
like I've
Okay.
seen one on TV, now I see one in real life.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
And
but
I think
I
that's why it's
actually
so
enjoyed
big
it.
overseas. Bodybuilding is so much bigger
Yeah,
overseas than the States because we see you guys, it's a norm over here, as much as
yeah,
we can call it a norm.
right.
Because you guys take a lot of hate, but
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
So I
You know,
guess you could basically call it right now about halftime in the season.
yeah.
Um, and as you already said, you feel like you get stronger with each show, which is great because now you're
Yeah,
peaking at the right time. Um, what are your goals for Japan?
I'm not going to lose. I'm going to win.
There
That's
you go.
always my
There
attitude.
you
That's
go.
that's always going to be my attitude.
Right.
Um, and I always look at it this way: a win is like the New York Pro. I look at that as a win for me. I got first
Hmm.
call outs for those
Yes.
young girls. You know what
Yes.
I mean? I have my goal was just to hold my own. I
Right.
said if I can hold my own, then I prove to myself, yes, you belong.
Yeah.
If I can't hold my own, then I'm like, all right, then you might want to just stick to doing these master shows.
Right.
But yeah, I was like, okay, I held my own. I people might look at, well, it wasn't first place. I'm like, no, it wasn't, but it
No.
was in my eyes because
Yeah.
I accomplished the goal that I set out to do. Now, did I want to place higher? Of course I do.
Hmm.
That's just my goal. Any show I do, I go into it with the intentions on this is a show you want to win. I
Hmm.
don't get up at 3:45 and spend hours doing cardio, meal prep, and going to the gym to come in second.
Hmm.
Anyone who says that, I would tell them they're a fool. You know,
Exactly. Why are you
then
doing
why
all
bother?
this? Yeah.
Exactly. You bring your best that you can bring, and I mean, it's a very subjective sport, so the judges are going to pick who they want to win. It's as
Right.
simple as that. And you just have to accept it. You have to have really thick skin to do this sport, because
You do.
otherwise, it can. I've seen it destroy people, especially younger girls. They get so caught up in and they think, oh, I'm going to take more drugs. I'm like, that is
Yeah.
not the answer. It's not the answer because you can do all that, and the judges, they have. I mean, there is criteria, but because we're all human, what you may
Hmm.
think is beautiful, I may not.
Right.
So that's where it becomes subjective, and you have to know that. Um, I've seen girls chase shows like they won't do certain shows of a certain, head judges doing it. I'm like, okay, and that makes so much sense.
Yeah. I've heard that they picked the show by the judges
Yeah,
and said, well, they judge this way on the West Coast, East Coast. and then they make it to the Olympia, and then they don't do as well because like you weren't in front of that judge. I mean, I can see the strategy. You're trying to get in front of as many eyes as you possibly can,
Right.
but I don't think that should dictate the show you do because now you're trying to say that well, there's a bias, and if I can get in
Exactly.
front of Sandy Williamson as many times as I can, um, yeah, I mean they get to see you get good critiques, and it's good to get in front of those judges, but at the same time, as you said, it's subjective. And
Yeah.
you can't take how you did at one show into the next show. And I've seen a lot of
Exactly.
competitors do that. Well, if I did well at this show, I should blow this one away and win. And I've seen
Yep.
the reverse. They did well in the previous show, and they go to the next show, bigger, smaller, what have you, and they don't do as well. And
Yeah.
so it can be a little bit disheartening. But you're right. You got to have a thick skin. At the end of the day, you're an athlete. And
Yeah.
I mean, even from when I see young athletes playing high school ball and then they go off to college, it's a totally different world. And
Yep.
then everybody's mind is, to make it to the NFL, the NBA, and doesn't always work out. And there's no exit strategy from sports, and psychologically, that can really mess you up. And it's the same
Yeah.
in bodybuilding.
I think in bodybuilding it's even more so because we already have the body dysmorphia. I mean, let's face it.
Yes.
I can
Mm-hmm.
look at myself and I'm like my worst critic. But I'm realistic with it too. I know. So one of the things was at my age, I'm not supposed to be able to put on muscle.
Right.
I've defied those odds because I go get a DEXA scan done. I actually gained 2.2 pounds of muscle, which is not a lot, but you think about
But when you
59 years
consider
old,
all things considered,
right?
it is a lot.
Yeah, and it shows. People have told me, yeah, your upper body has definitely gotten bigger. Um, but I focused on it. I'm like, well, it better have because that's what I was. The goal was. I'm like, I ain't working back and shows us twice a week for nothing. But
Yeah.
um, that's one of the things. So I think people need to be more realistic, and
Mm-hmm.
just do the sport because they love doing the sport.
Right.
We're not, especially the women. We are not getting rich off it. We ain't even getting paid. Let's be honest.
No.
We ain't even getting
Yeah, that's
paid.
that's
So
been a source of tension here in the
it
last month or
has.
so.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, trust me, I've seen it.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're not getting paid, and even if
Yeah.
we were, like, even the men, only the top get paid
Right.
that can say they can make a living out of this. And
Exactly.
there's a handful of them. So, you know, as much as I put into this, I have to be realistic and say this is not
Right.
going to pay this is not going to pay my mortgage.
Right.
Shit, it ain't even going to pay the light bill. So let's be realistic. So
Right.
that's why I
Exactly.
say I make a schedule around my work schedule because the work schedule pays for me to do this expensive hobby.
Yes.
And that's how I have to look at it. But I my goal, like, I want to do the sport until, like I said, I'm not improving. I don't want to
Right.
be that the cute little old lady up there. Oh, she's so cute. No.
Yeah.
um, but then I want to be able to mentor people.
Yes.
Because I've gained a lot of knowledge, not just about like diet, nutrition, all that,
Mm-hmm.
more or less what it takes. I've seen this sport literally destroy people. Um, I've seen people who didn't even know they had eating have disorders until they started the
Mm-hmm.
sport.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I've seen what it can do. And that's where I would love to be able to help the younger ones, and not just younger, because some of them are they older
Right.
and they should know better, but they don't recognize those things and avoid those.
Mm-hmm.
That's I mean, I want to give back to the sport as much as I've gotten out of it because I'll tell you,
Mm-hmm.
at 46 years old, when I started this, I couldn't do a push up, I couldn't do a pull up. The most I would do bicep curls with was 8 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And now I pick up 40s and curl those, and guys are looking at me like, damn.
Right.
But let me know how strong I am, not just physically, it helps you mentally to be able to be that fit in the
Mm-hmm.
gym. It goes outside of the gym.
Right.
It makes you a stronger person, not just physically, but mentally too.
And you say it's a lifestyle, but by the same token, look at your quality of life. I mean,
Right.
there's not too many 60-year-olds walking around can do what you do. And when you look at your age group per se, even your generation, they're like, look at her, And so that's a proof positive as well. Have you ever thought about writing a book about all of this, or
Someone else said that to me. Wow.
you
You're
should?
like the third person who said that to me.
You got to capture this journey and calculate because it's definitely going to help someone else. You're
Yeah.
already inspiring a lot of people, so why not?
It is something, because I do know, I mean, at some point I do have to retire.
Right.
Um, like I said, as long as I'm physically able and improving, then I'll stay doing it. But I'll know, and I'll be honest with myself, when it's time, it's time. But
Yeah.
I want to stay involved in the sport. So that's why I coach people,
Right.
mentor people. I would love to get into judging, um,
Okay.
maybe even promoting the show one day. Who
Why not?
knows?
Yes.
You know, I think
Go
it
on the
would be,
speaking circuit as well. Guest
yeah,
speaker. People, anyone ask you to come and speak to their school, speak to their group, or anything like that?
yeah, because I mean, there's a lot of information that people don't know about.
And there's a
They,
lot of bad information. So yeah.
yes, yes, there is. There's a lot of bad information. A lot of bro science they call it. I'm like, yeah,
Hmm.
because I never, some of the things I hear, I feel like, what?
Yeah.
Really think about that. Does that make sense to you? Uh, you'd be surprised what people, people sometimes it's just people want the easy way,
Right.
the fast.
Have
I
you
call
ever
it the
been asked a
microwave.
question? Have you ever been asked a question where they said, "Well, the only way she's able to do this, she's heavily on PEDs."
Oh yeah, I get it, and I get it all the time. People will literally get on my page and say, I made a post something about I drink apple cider vinegar with lemon,
Hmm.
and I said it's good for your gut health with cinnamon, and that's one of the things too. I'm old school, and I remember stuff my mom used to say, like if you have a
Yes.
healthy gut,
Yes.
everything else is gonna fall in line, and that's
Yep.
so true. Um, so I do a lot of things like kind of old school that I used to think she's just being cheap. She just don't want to buy this. But yeah, me and my sister used to be like, oh, she's so damn cheap. She
But
want
when
me
you
just
know,
be
you know.
right. And so like acid reflux, the best thing
Hmm.
for that is baking soda. And people are
Yes.
like, baking soda. I'm like, yes. Baking soda will break that acid up in seconds. You can take
Mm.
all those Tums and all that, and that stuff's full of
You just put
sugar
you a
and everything
teaspoon in
else.
some water and drink it.
Yeah.
Mm.
And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah. Just little things like that. So I have made this post about gut health, and someone said, "Oh yeah, coming from someone that pumps himself full of steroids." I'm like,
Oh boy.
I'm like, you
Did
ain't
you
got nothing else
respond to
better to
them?
do. You know what I did? Delete it. Because why
Mm.
bother? I'm not
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
argue. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like to me, if you take the time to go on someone else's page, we're not friends. I don't know this person.
Right.
To make a negative comment, really, that says a lot about yourself.
You just trying to be a bully. Yep. We got a
Hmm.
lot of those, you know, typewriter warriors. I call them.
Yeah.
Behind the
And my
keyboard
thing is
warriors, like
this.
you say. Yeah.
Because every time a bodybuilder passes away, the first thing they say is steroid. I'm like, well,
Steroids,
if you
abuse of it.
knew what
Yeah.
you were talking about,
Hmm.
steroids do not kill people. Abuse of steroids causes problems that
Exactly.
kill people. I said, so
The
you should
same as
really know
abuse
what
of
you're talking about.
alcohol, abuse of cigarettes,
Exactly.
abuse of
Exactly.
medical prescription drugs. You know.
Yeah. I'm like, people should sometimes I'm like, just use common sense before you say stupid
Yeah.
things. And regardless of why, even if that is the case, that person still passed away. They still have family, they still have friends. They
Exactly.
don't want to see
And why
that.
are you being so hurtful and to
Yeah,
disrespect the family because you're just trying to do
exactly.
that? You're trying to hurt someone.
Yeah. And that's basically, but you think about people like that, they're just miserable in their own lives.
Exactly. And they sit
And
back there the whole day. Is nothing to sit
mhm,
back and troll people
yeah.
and comment. And it's almost like phishing, when people talk about or phishing, to get a
Hmm.
virus in the computer. If
Yep.
you want to get, it's the same effect. If you put a comment out there, I don't like Donald Trump. Here it comes. Boom.
Yeah.
And you
Oh,
can
yeah.
sit there and play with those people all day and they could care
All
less
day.
what you thought about it, but you got yourself so upset, especially in an
Yeah.
election time and like buzzword topic like women's bodybuilding and stuff. And so yeah.
Yeah, so I don't like. I mean, that's a mature level. You know what I
Yeah, it
mean?
is.
Um,
And like
I just
how
learned
much
a lot
time
of
do you
stuff.
have in a day to do this? I'm like,
Exactly. I'm like,
I
you know what? I always say this: if it doesn't pay my mortgage, I really don't give a damn.
right.
And that's how I look at it. I'm like, do they pay my mortgage? No. So
Hmm.
why would I care? Um, yeah, I don't. I'm not gonna sit there and argue with people like that. I'm like,
Right.
I got better things to do. I'm like, I gotta go to the gym. I ain't got time to argue with you.
There you go. And gym can be very therapeutic as well.
Oh,
And I wish like the VA would give out gym memberships as opposed to prescription drugs so much. But I mean,
yeah,
but
yeah.
that's the way it is. So yeah,
Healthy people can't be controlled,
there you go.
but people, addicted to these drugs, they can be controlled. So
Right.
look at it that way. Um, yeah. So yeah, I mean, you're always gonna have negative people, so I don't bother.
Hmm.
Let
You
them
have
be.
3 grandchildren, right?
I do. Those are my babies. See
Now,
my face lights up when you talk about them? Yeah.
what do they think when they see grandma out there lifting weights?
So, well, there's 2-year-old and 3-year-old. So with them, it's
Uh-huh.
just like, they make their little muscles. And so my
Yeah.
granddaughter, she watched a live stream of the Emerald Cup. She's
Uh-huh.
seen the stage. That's a beautiful stage. That's one of the
Yes, it
prettiest
is.
stages I've ever
My
been.
favorite color too. That's my birthstone. So yes.
Oh yeah, it was. I mean, It's funny because I picked my suit. Um, Maggie's Suits by Maggie. She sponsored me for my suit. Gotta give
Hmm.
her a shout out.
There
And
you
that
go.
suit was gorgeous. It was a gorgeous. Fit like a glove because I mean everything was custom on it. And I had picked the color green before I knew the background was
Well,
gonna be green.
yeah.
I'm like, oh, so people think I picked the color because of that. I'm like, no, I had already picked the color green. But so when my granddaughter seen the background, she thought it
Hmm.
was a dance competition.
Ah,
She's like, oh, Nana's doing a dance competition. My son's like, no, honey, it's bodybuilding.
yeah.
And she was like all confused, like, because she's like, she sees the sparkly suits, and to her,
Right.
it's a dance competition. I'm like,
Right.
yeah.
Oh. What's been your best show so far this year? You've done New York, you've done the Emerald Cup, you got Toronto coming up. Um, what do you obviously you've gotten stronger with each show. And again, it's amazing to me that you can be at the age you are and you put on 2 pounds of muscle. Uh, what do you feel now?
So I do know a couple of the um women from the New York Pro are doing the Toronto.
Hmm.
Um, but I think I'm gonna actually do better. The New York Pro, for some reason, and I think it's because we got up so early. I felt
Hmm.
off. I mean, people didn't notice it, but I felt
Hmm.
it. I just didn't feel like myself. Um, but so I think with the Toronto, I think I was a little bit nervous because
Hmm.
I had so many people there to see me because, like I said, it was only 2 hours away, and
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I think I actually seem to do better when there's nobody in the audience I know, and random people will yell my number or whatever. I'm like, I don't know who they are. But when
yeah,
I do
exactly.
know
Yeah,
it, yeah, yeah, the people were there. I was like, I think I felt a little nervous. I think that's what it was. I'm not sure. So with Toronto, I'm pretty sure, it might be a couple
yeah,
people, but I'm not. So yeah, the goal is to do better.
right.
And then I'm doing the open and the 40 because they have
Good.
the 42. So whenever there's two, I always just do them.
Yeah.
You're there, might as well. Um,
And you want to see how you stack up, and that's great that you're not
yeah.
signing with me, but that you're doing the
Oh
open.
no.
A lot
I
of
mean,
people say,
I
"Well,
think
I'm just going to do the Masters," and and then
no.
won't be as many Masters competitors or whatnot. But yeah, you going against the big dogs, and that's
Yeah,
the way
it
to
was like,
be.
I mean, last year when I did it, I was in third, and it was the same top three because last year was 35.
Hmm.
I didn't
Hmm.
realize that. For some reason, I thought it was 42, but it was 35 plus in the open. And us top three, it was the same for both. It
Right,
was
right.
the three of us open, three of us in masters. So, I'm like, all right, so I can hang.
Yeah. So I peeked in a little bit on the Optimum Classic. Were you able to look at the prejudging? It looked like it's going to be
No,
Rachel
I didn't.
Daniels. Yeah, looks like it's going to be
Rachel,
Rachel Daniels, which
I had kind of said that.
yeah, going
I
in, you knew she was going to be one of the favorites. But I
Yeah,
love Marika Beal,
yeah.
Halle Berry, or
Oh,
Perry, Halle Perry
Perry, yeah.
out of Columbus. So I like her too. And
I love
so
her shape.
Destiny
Yeah.
Holmes was one of my
Oh
favorites
yeah,
too.
Destiny was doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah. See,
Destiny's
I know
doing it.
all
So
of them.
yeah.
Yeah. Um,
So
who else did it? How did that Paula Arantha do? Do you
I
know?
don't know. Because they just announced the top 4, but I don't think she made it. Let me look real quick. See if I got something new. Because I know they just finished, I think, the prejudging. No, I don't see the final. I don't see them. They haven't posted the standings from the prejudging yet.
Oh,
They
okay.
just did the first call out for figure, so it's rolling on.
Okay.
So that's good stuff. I mean, it's amazing how you look. Talk to me about photo shoots. Have you not done any photo shoots? Do you want to do a photo shoot? I would
I
love to have
actually
you in Amazon's fitness magazine.
I'm actually looking forward to doing a photo shoot. I haven't done one in so long.
Uh-huh.
It was just a matter of like finding the time. Um, because like I do a show, shows on Saturday. I'm flying home Sunday. Because I gotta be at work Monday.
There you go. Yeah, yeah.
Especially this year because I basically wanted to save as much time as I could for because I told them at the beginning of the year I'm going to Japan.
Right.
And they're like, oh, well, when is it? I'm like, well, I gotta win the show first, but I'm going to Japan.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, okay. And so when I won the Emerald Cup, my job, it was funny because they actually all sat in the conference room and they ordered the live stream. And they were sitting
Nice.
there and someone
Nice.
videoed them watching the
Yeah.
video and they
Yeah.
had no clue what they were looking at. They were like, well, we don't know what we're supposed to be looking at, but I like Robyn's legs. Oh my God, her back. I didn't know she had all those muscles under there.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, it's not like I wear sleeveless shirts to work.
And I was going to
So
ask you, how you receive with your bodybuilding and work. So that's great because a lot of
yeah,
times if
yeah,
you don't have the support, it's one thing not to have it at home, but like a lot of the competitors I know that were in the military, of course the guys in the military do it no big deal. But if you're
yeah,
in a formation on Friday and then you're doing a competition in bikini on Saturday morning, you come out
yeah,
there Monday morning, not the same support. It just is what it is. But
right.
then at other times I've seen women in the military have gotten great support with their bodybuilding and competing. So that can weigh in as well. I mean, when did you become to the point to where you didn't worry about it, or did you worry about it ever? What someone thought about you lifting weights or how you looked?
I've never cared. I've never cared.
Good for you.
I was raised that way. You
Yeah.
know, we, all my siblings, and we were always raised, you are who you are.
Right.
You be the best at it. My mother used to tell us, I don't care if you're a street sweeper, you better be the best one out there.
There you go.
And that's
There you go.
and that's just how, once I got into the sport, like I said, I got into it for a reason, more or less I can't do something. Yes, I can.
Right.
And
Right.
then, bikini, it was fun and it was cute. But then when I moved to Fit Body, I was like, okay, now I gotta really start training.
Right.
So the first year I trained just legs because I liked it.
Hmm.
Legs was easy for me because I used to run track in high school and stuff. So I had
Right.
strong legs.
Yeah.
I can leg press 800 pounds. I'm like, I can do this all day. And then the only problem was I developed the legs and then no upper body.
Right.
So, so then I had to stop with the upper body. But, which I look at the whole thing as a puzzle, and every body part is a piece to the puzzle. So you start with one thing and then you work on something else and then improve that. And
Hmm.
yeah, but I've never, never felt like, oh, I can't. I don't want to do something because people are gonna think, oh, they're gonna look at me funny. Like, okay,
Right.
people are
Does
gonna
your
look at me
husband
funny
work
regardless.
out with you? Did he ever want to compete?
Doesn't want to compete. Nope. He's like my son. He's like, nope. I don't. I don't know. He's like, I don't know how you do it because he's seen sometimes where he thinks I should have placed better. And he's like,
Mm.
he's really honest. If I
Yeah,
didn't do
yeah,
as well you know, as I should have, he'll tell me. And
yeah,
he's seen times where I think you should have placed better.
yeah.
And
But that's
you know,
family too, 'cause they're gonna
yeah,
be biased, but as he should. But
yeah,
it's always good to have someone when you're out there and on the stage competing to have someone out in the crowd hollering for you. So
oh yeah,
it
yeah. He's
means a
like,
lot.
yeah, he'll tell me, lift up, open up, or whatever, you know.
Hmm.
And then he'll tell me, when I get off, well, next time do this because you didn't do this, and I'm like,
Do
okay,
they
all right.
understand all your poses?
Yeah, oh yeah, he does now. Like we've been doing this so long. It's like when we after I work out because we don't work out together. We go to the gym together because he's like, no,
Right.
I'm not doing your workout. You're not trying to kill me. I'll go do my thing. You do your thing, and then we'll meet up in the posing room, and then, because I
Right.
like when I and I'll do my posing, and he'll go through and he critiques me. Sometimes I'd be like, he'd be like, well, I'm just saying. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You're right. But he
What's your
doesn't.
favorite pose of women's physique? Is it the
Back
dominoes and
double
thighs
by.
or is it back?
Nope.
Huh?
My back double by. That's my
Back
favorite.
double by. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I absolutely love because I love training back.
Right.
It's one of my favorite. And he always tells me, he goes, you got one of the best backs out there, babe. He goes, the
Hmm.
detail. He says, not the biggest, but detail. He said, it's there. And I just love training back. It's one of my favorite parts, training.
What particular music inspires you when it's going into your routine? So because
Mm,
the thing about it doesn't matter how great you look, if you can't display your physique doing the posing and your routine, you're at a loss.
right. Um, I'm all over the place with music. I will stick to the slower tempos. I am not trying to get down, do no flips and all that. I'm like, you young girls can keep that one because I'm like, no, I
Yeah,
get down there. I don't know if I can get back up that quick.
yeah, that would
Um,
be sort of bad. Expediter have to come out there and say, "Oh, let me help you
yeah,
up."
I'd be like, you okay down there? I'd be like, no,
Yeah,
uh, no. I just like a slower tempo to the
got you.
music, and yeah. I mean, the music's always something different. I think
Right.
my favorite routine was when I did it to the Black Panther.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, that was my favorite routine. I actually might do that one again.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
is a favorite because of the
yeah.
movie and
Oh
all
yeah,
the actors involved and very
yeah,
inspirational movie too. So yeah, it
yeah,
comes out into your routine. So I've
yeah.
seen some great ones. I saw some great ones in Pittsburgh. Uh,
Hmm.
I love Rachel Daniels one. I love Sharonica
Oh,
Hinton's routine. I
hmm,
mean, very elegant and good. At the end of the day, if you can't show your physique, doesn't matter how good you look. So
right. Yeah, Rachel is definitely
yeah,
a really
I
good
mean,
poser.
I love the routines and I love when they say pose down. I mean,
Yeah,
that's my two favorite parts, but I don't know how
yeah.
much that is on the judges card, but yeah.
I think they're just tallying up the score when they do that, and
Yeah.
they just need more time.
Yeah, but
But it's good for the audience.
it's definitely a crowd pleaser.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. It's good for the audience, and it's good for the athletes too, because
Yeah.
at that point we all kind of know they already picked who they want. They're just
Yeah.
buying some
Yeah,
time,
after the
so
prejudging,
you
yeah.
get to have
Yeah.
you get to have fun with it. So
Yeah.
that's the fun part about it.
Because now all the stress is off and then going
Yeah,
on from
it's
that.
like
Yeah. Well, I really enjoyed talking to you. Is today a rest day for you?
actually no.
Okay.
I have a opposing client that I'm gonna go. So I actually got up, went to the gym, went to a different gym. It's like 40 minutes away.
Hmm.
Shout out to Olympus Gym. Thank you guys for the invite.
Yeah.
Went out there, trained legs, which I haven't trained quads in forever. I do glutes and hams, but
Hmm.
quads I haven't done. So they're pretty sore right now. I'm gonna feel this tomorrow, but that's good. And then I'm gonna go pose with a client.
Gotcha. W-
Yeah. So
Well, I'm certainly not going to hold you up any longer. But last thing I want to
no,
ask you: Do you feel that you should have started earlier,
I
or did
wish
you
I would
meet
have.
did you meet exercise and fitness by accident? Because as you said, you were smoking at the time, and you were just trying to change your lifestyle, and then you fell in love with competing.
I wish. I would have started earlier. In my 20s, I can tell you now, and I will say this, and some people might say, "Oh, she's crazy." I believe if I would have started in my 20s, I would have already done a couple of Olympias by now. I already know that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think, but that's only if I had the mindset I have now. But would I have
Right.
had
Because
that
when you're young,
mindset?
exactly. When you're younger, you don't have
So
that mindset.
right. So there's the thing there. Knowing what I know now, yes. But knowing what I knew then, no. So, but yeah,
Well,
I'm
Robyn,
happy
I
doing it.
really
So
appreciate you talking to me. I sincerely
I
hope that
appreciate
you
you.
do write that book. Continue to inspire people. You look amazing.
Thank you.
And like I said, we got to figure something out. I don't know. I'd love to shoot you for Amazon's Fitness magazine because
Whenever you want me, let me know.
now let's get on the flight tonight and then no. How about before you go to Japan after Toronto?
That sounds good. Where am I flying to?
You're coming to North Carolina.
Oh,
Fly to
that's
the
easy.
Fayetteville Airport.
Okay, that's easy.
All right. All
Yeah,
right.
let's
Well, let's talk.
set something up.
Let's talk offline and make that happen.
Okay.
Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate you. And like I said, you're a great inspiration.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Not at all. Talk soon.
All right. Bye.
All the best in Japan. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, you'll
Go.
definitely. I'll be posting it.
Yeah. Keep killing them. Keep whipping those young girls' ass. Bye. Robyn Mays, definitely inspiring. And like I said, I love talking to the athletes, the older athletes in the sport that are still doing it and still inspiring and still look great as she does. And she's getting ready to do the Toronto here in a couple of weeks and then off to Japan. So I'm excited. So glad to talk with her today. Robyn Mays, IFBB Pro Women's Physique, one of my favorite categories. That's how I always got involved with women's bodybuilding is through women's physique. So yeah, love the category, love the division, and she's doing great things. If you haven't seen the magazine out for the May issue, May anniversary issue, Vera Madume is on the cover. So you is available to order now. We finished everything up and should be available online with the link. You simply go to amazonsfitmag.com, click on issues, and order your copy of the magazine. Until then, always remember that not everyone's going to be for you, but it doesn't mean that everyone's against you. But it does mean that everyone is watching. So give them a show. Amazon's Fitness Magazine, as far as the competitors, Amazon's Fitness Magazine is your magazine dream. So reach out, touch base, and let's get this content going so that you can be in the next or upcoming issue of Amazon's Fitness Magazine. Thanks for joining in. We'll see y'all next time. Soon, Wellness Wednesday coming up next week. That's what's on the plan for the podcast. And so we'll talk soon.